The number 23 Texas Tech Red Raiders fall 79-73 to number 13 Baylor out in Waco. In today's video, we'll recap the game, take a look ahead for the Red Raiders in terms of their next matchup, and I'll be honest with you folks, it's going to be a rant here in the second part of the video, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here from the Back to 12 podcast. If you haven't already, and I know a lot of y'all haven't, only 38.7% of y'all have subscribed to the channel that watch the videos. We got to change that right now. Hit that subscribe button, like the video, and turn on that notification bell to stay in the know on Texas Tech men's basketball all year long. We've got you covered with game recaps, game previews. We'll break down metrics. We'll have instantaneous reaction to where Texas Tech ends up in the NCAA tournament on Selection Sunday. Join the largest and most engaging Texas Tech community here on YouTube by simply doing two things: liking the video and hitting that subscribe button. All right, I mentioned the NCAA tournament before we get into today's recap. Let me know on the pinned comment down below with a simple Y for yes or N for no. Will Texas Tech men's basketball make the NCAA tournament? You'll see here in a little bit why I'm asking that question, because there was some, we'll call them takes on Twitter that I saw in my mentions last night, and not good ones. So we're going to have a little bit of a rant here in a little bit, but let me know on the pinned comment down below if you think the Red Raiders will make the NCAA tournament with a simple Y for yes or N for no. As I mentioned, the number 23 Texas Tech Red Raiders lost at Baylor, number 13 Baylor, by a score of 79-73. They were without their second best player, were the Red Raiders, in Warren Washington, who is down with illness right now and really fighting through it like most of the program. It feels like that flu bug really caught the Red Raiders at a poor time, but hey, that's life itself, right? Texas Tech actually held the lead for most of the first half in this one, but went down to halftime, I should say, 37-36 to Baylor. Now, Joe Toussaint had a bounce-back game. He did foul out. He was a little frustrating in some regards, but he did a lot of the things that Texas Tech needed him to do when it came to the offensive end. He had 18.6 assists, only 2 turnovers. That'll play. For most of the first half, Darrion Williams was the focal point of the Texas Tech offense. He actually had 11 points going into halftime. He averages just over 8 in Big 12 play. The Red Raiders did struggle on the offensive glass, but I will say this: it really was just for the first 4 minutes of the game. And now that's not trying to create a crutch for them or anything, but the Red Raiders did give up 6 boards in terms of the offensive variety in the first 4 minutes. After that, for the remaining 36, they gave up 5. Okay, so they obviously made an adjustment there. And you got to give credit to some regard, the front court for Texas Tech, because again, I don't think people fully understand how roles work on a basketball team. And yes, next man up mentality. I 100% agree with that. But there's a reason that it's next man up. You're losing a guy that is vitally important in Warren Washington. I thought Robert Jennings, KyeRon Lindsay, and even Eemeli Yalaho did a solid job for what they were asked. Now, the fouls were infuriating at some points, and you can disagree with the officiating or whatever it may be, but they did enough for Texas Tech to stay in the game for a majority of it. Really what it came down to, in the sense of you didn't have your key 7-footer. I mean, let's just call a spade, man. You absolutely got dominated down in the painted area. This from Ryan Mainville. I thought this was a great tweet. Be sure to go follow Ryan over on Twitter, one of the best Texas Tech men's basketball follows there on that Bird app. He says, here's a look at Baylor's made shots tonight. If you want to know how pivotal Warren Washington is to this team, just look at this. That's nuts. First and foremost, welcome to 2024 basketball, but that is nuts right there, if you ask me. Specifically, when you think about Baylor from the outside, right? They're shooting 40% as a team coming into this game from 3, and you held them to 5 threes. They just continuously got to the rim, and it was the presence of Eemeli. They're legit 7-footer, athletic. He created a lot of lanes because you have to go respect him in the pick and roll. And Baylor capitalized on some lob threats and just getting downhill and finishing at the rim. So really that was the difference when it was all said and done, was Baylor actually getting to the rim. Now, I know there's going to be some people in the comments that don't want to hear this. I really don't give a damn. I'll just say this. I know fighting till the end doesn't mean anything in the Big 12. There are no moral victories. I'm on that train as well. But this program is battling the flu. They were without their second best player, and they literally took a top 15 team in the country on their home floor in terms of an away game for Texas Tech to the point where Baylor narrowly edged out this win. Now, some people are going to say, RC, they were up 13. Texas Tech had to make 4 of their last 4 field goals to be in this game. Yeah, but really outside for a 4-minute stretch, Texas Tech was in this game for a majority of it. And that's a testament to not only the coaching staff, but the players buying in, going in, playing hard until the end. And the rant's going to start here in just a second because there were some people saying that this team quit. Listen, I know there's also some people that don't like me cussing in these videos, but I don't care. That's bullshit. If you think that this team quit, that's bullshit. But before we get into my entire rant, like the video if you think Texas Tech men's basketball is about to bounce back in a major way. And now, major way, we're about to talk about expectations and the reality of the situation for the Red Raiders. I'm not talking about, oh, Texas Tech is going to go out and win every game left on their schedule, all 9 games remaining in the Big 12. No, let's slow our roll a little bit. But they lost 3 in a row. Does Texas Tech bounce back? Like the video if you think they do. All right, it's rant time. I want to preface everything I'm about to say by saying this. I am not a guy to tell a fan or fans how to feel. That's not my place, okay? Whatsoever. That said, if I see multiple people with the similar bad take, I'm going to call you out for it. Just like you would call me out for a bad take in the comments, right? I'm not immune to this either, okay? So it goes both ways. This is a two-way street. I saw multiple people yesterday in my Twitter mentions and even some comments on here saying that this team quit or this team was just lucky to begin Big 12 play. I want to say this. No team is lucky to win in the Big 12. You get everything you deserve in the Big 12. Period. End of story. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. You earn that shit. That's just how it is in the Big 12, okay? I get it. Losing 3 in a row absolutely sucks if you're Texas Tech. There's no other way to look at it. Reminder, though, Baylor's on a 3-game winning streak. You know what they did before their 3-game winning streak? They lost 3 in a row. Am I saying Texas Tech is going to do that? No, I'm not. But it's any given night in the Big 12. You get what you deserve here. And the reason I'm saying you get what you deserve is it's kind of like life. Shit happens that's out of your control. Perfect example right now is Texas Tech. The whole program is going through a flu bug right now. Scott Drew even mentioned it in his post-game press conference that Grant McCasland did not feel well. There were a couple other coaches that did not feel well. Obviously, Warren Washington wasn't good enough to play. Lamar missed the game before and didn't get really that many minutes in this one because he's still battling the flu. Other guys toughed it out because, well, Texas Tech's got limited guys on this team. People, Texas Tech is still 5-4 in the Big 12. Relax a little bit, okay? If we're judging the Red Raiders off of any of these past 3 games, let's look at the TCU game. That one's the most infuriating from the standpoint of you should have beat TCU. You played your worst game on the road, and you still had a chance to beat the Horned Frogs in Fort Worth. You didn't do it. That's infuriating. The Cincinnati game, I'm not giving them a pass, but I am going to have a level of understanding that everyone and their mom was sick within the program. Same with Baylor to a degree. How much of an impact do you think Warren Washington has on this Texas Tech game against Baylor? Do they win it? I don't know, but they have a lot better of a chance if you have your second best player, don't you think? Stop it with these overreactions, man, in the sense of saying, oh, the season's over, or, oh, this team is trash, or, oh, my goodness, this team got exponentially lucky in the first few games of the season, and now they're showing their true colors. No, this is what's happening here. Texas Tech is closer to the bubble, as everyone mentioned. I think they're still firmly in, right? But they're closer to the bubble than they are the 5 or 6 seed line. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's year number 1 of Grant McCasland, people. Let's not overreact to a couple of games where the program is going through the flu. What do you do when you go through the flu? You don't get out of bed. Again, I'm not trying to make excuses for these guys. I'm really not. But when I see multiple fans saying over and over again in my comments, the season is over, it's just lunacy. It's absolute lunacy. I just don't know what other way to say it. Feel how you want to feel, but if you put out a bad take, just like if I put out a bad take, I would expect you to call me out for it, okay? I'm going to do the same to you, and I have this platform to do it, so I'm going to do that. All right, before we head out of here, a couple of things. You tell me, out of the 9 Big 12 games remaining for the Red Raiders, Texas Tech men's basketball will win blank of those games. Now, it's interesting from this standpoint. I want to put this out there. Bart Torvark, his metrics say Texas Tech are favored in 6 of their remaining 9 Big 12 games. Put that out there for what you will. He has Texas Tech actually going 10-8 in the conference, a little bit of wiggle room there. If they did win those 6 that they're favored in, obviously that's 11 wins. And, the season definitely wouldn't be over then, if you know what I'm saying. But it's interesting in that regard. Let me know how many Big 12 games out of the 9 remaining for Texas Tech you think the Red Raiders will win this season. All right, up next for number 23, Texas Tech, they'll head back to the 806. And that's another thing we'll talk about here later in the week. Over the next 2.5 weeks, you only have to get on a plane once. You can really get this flu bug out of the way. The time you travel is to Ames. That'll be rough. But you get UCF next, as you can see at the bottom of your screen, on Saturday, February 10th. And then you have a quick turnaround. And so does the team you're playing. It'll be a top 5 Kansas team, or at least the top 10, because they'll move down in the rankings, coming in on Big Monday at 8 p.m. You have 2 games in a 48-hour span. Kansas has the Baylor game on Saturday. Game day will be there. Could it be a letdown game for the Jayhawks? Could you get them napping there? It's going to be super tough to play at the USA. Everybody knows that. Those are the next 2 games for the Red Raiders. But the most important game on the schedule right now for Texas Tech is the one Saturday against UCF at home on February 10th, the day before the Super Bowl, at 3 p.m., and you can watch it on ESPN+. One more time, will Texas Tech men's basketball make the NCAA tournament? Let me know on the pinned comment below by simply commenting a Y for yes or in for no. And before you head out of here, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell to stay in the know on everything Texas Tech men's basketball all year long right here on the most engaging Texas Tech community on YouTube. Of course, I'm talking about the Back to 12 podcast channel.